On today's edition of The Front Row, we are at the Classical 105.7 studios in downtown Lubbock in the Cultural District. And our special guest on the program today is Robert Tully, who is in the show Water for Elephants, which is coming to the Buddy Holly Hall here in Lubbock, coming up on the 16th through the 18th this weekend. And we're so grateful to have Robert with us. Robert, welcome to The Front Row. Welcome to Lubbock.
Thank you, Clint. Good to be here.
So, for people who don't know, tell us a little bit about you and your journey into theater and musical theater, where you grew up, and how you became to be Robert Tully in the touring performance of Water for Elephants.
Well, I'm a native of Cincinnati, Ohio. And what I've been telling people about this particular experience is this is the third time I've run away with the circus. Um, I was brought up with performing arts and moved to Los Angeles in the late '80s, where I was a starving actor. And the first good job I got was with cruise ships, with Norwegian Cruise Lines, with a circus-based show where they were looking for a ringmaster. Flash forward to 1993, I was back in Los Angeles after several years on ships, and was called upon by Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey Circus to be their ringmaster in 1998. So doing this show, Water for Elephants, which is about a man and his life in the circus, is, as I said, the third time I've been called upon to run away with the circus.
How wonderful. It's like coming full circle. That's great. Um, so, how did you come across Water for Elephants? How did that opportunity occur to you?
Well, I had moved back to Cincinnati and was doing local theater, and there are casting notices that come on certain sites, and I those and this came across, and I'd heard about Water for Elephants, having a background in circus. So my friends had said, "Oh, you need to read the book, you need to see the show," and then when this came up. They were talking about one particular character who was a gentleman, an older gentleman, who had spent his whole life in circus, and it's basically his story. Mr. Jankowski, the role that I play, is telling the story. It's his story. So I kind of looked at it and said, "Wow, there'd be an interesting relevance to my life with this." And so I submitted for it and got called into New York to do a live audition. And a couple weeks later, they offered me the role. So it's been wonderful because of the diversity of the show itself. It's been great to be a part of it.
So, you were able to bring personal experience to the role to begin with.
Absolutely. And I think that's part of the connection for me. And it also on my resume, being the ringmaster for Ringling has always been a part of that. And I think that they saw that, and I think that's one of the reasons that they called me in to do an audition was the fact that I could connect so much with the material.
Right. So, just a little bit of background on the show itself. It is adapted from a 2006 best-selling novel by Sarah Gruen, and it had a run on Broadway, as I understand it, in 2024, and is now touring. Tell us a little bit about that. It had a great run on Broadway, right?
Absolutely. Yes. Last year they had a run on Broadway, and the marvelous thing about Water for Elephants is the combination of things that are occurring. You've got a standard Broadway show with music, et cetera, et cetera. Then we have a troupe of acrobats that have backgrounds in Cirque du Soleil and that level of acrobatics, and that's going on stage. And then you've got puppetry that are portraying the animals in the circus, up to and including a full-sized elephant. So there are a lot of different things that appeal to a lot of different people in this show. I think that's the broad appeal of Water for Elephants.
You mentioned something that I think is fascinating. With this show being based around a circus and your character, Mr. Janowski, how does that work logistically? Not only in the theater, which I'm interested in, but also traveling. How do you do elephants? How do you do acrobats? How do you do all of the staging? I'm fascinated with that.
The stars of this touring production are the crew. If you really want to know. They don't, they get a small bow at one point in time, and we get to include them to some extent. But really, the stars are the crew that tonight after the show, we'll tear this whole thing down. All of the all the acrobat um, logistics and equipment and the regular equipment, put it in a truck, take it to Lubbock, set it all up so that we can do the show on Friday. And they do that every week. And this week, it's twice in a week. The logistics involved in producing this show on a week to week basis is incredible. The performers, there's a lot that goes on, especially the acro and a lot of the people that are doing that kind of thing. But honestly, the real stars of the show are the crew that deal with it on a day-to-day basis.
Wow, we can't wait to see it, and I'm sure that involves a lot of rehearsal and things with you and the cast to make sure everyone is safe and to make sure that it all works. I'm sure that's pretty complicated.
It is very complicated. The entire regular show day, the acrobats need to get there early every day to make sure that everything is functioning exactly as it should. The crew is there early to make sure that any little glitch in the technical aspect of it is handled before we get up there. And yes, the show varies a little bit from venue to venue because of the properties of the particular venue. So everybody has to be extremely flexible on a literally day-to-day basis as to small changes that might occur just for safety's sake and also to make the best possible show.
Tell us a little bit more about your character, Mr. Jankowski. Who is he when we first meet you, and who is he by the end of the show?
Jacob Jankowski is a man who has lived his whole life in the circus. He had a tragedy when he was very young, and he runs away. And it's during Depression era, U.S. Depression time, and he picks up with the circus. And because of his training as a vet, gets a job as the circus vet. And there's a whole story about relationships that happen because of him joining the circus, and drama and romance and excitement that goes on because of that. And there's that story, and him telling to these people who he's met at a modern day circus. He's currently, when the show happens, when it starts, he lives in a nursing home. He's older, and he's gone to see the circus for a day to kind of remember his past. Then he meets these people and he starts telling the story, and that's the story of the show. And then at the end, his life, which seems to be kind of the adventure part of it, kind of coming to an end, you find out that there is more to it. There's another adventure that Mr. Jankowski is going on as the show resolves itself.
Well, that's very interesting. I guess we'll have to all come to the show to see how that turns out and see what happens. The show does open on Friday, January the 16th. It runs through the 18th at the Buddy Holly Hall here in the Lubbock Cultural District. Our guest on the show today is Robert Tully. He plays the part of Mr. Jankowski. I understand that the show was nominated for several Tony Awards, including Best Musical, so there's probably some good music. Do you have some cool things to do, some things to sing?
I do. And in general, I think the great part of the music is it's part traditional Broadway, it's part folk, it's part country, it's part jazz. There are aspects of all that to the music. The live band. There's a fiddle that's a regular part of it. So there's lots of different flavors to that music. There are some incredible voices. I get to sing a couple things, yeah, and that's great. The gentleman that plays the younger version of me and his love interest, their voices soar. And not just them, but there are other people in the show who just wail. There's some incredibly talented people doing some of the singing and dancing in this show. So on that level, I'm just lucky to be able to work with some incredibly talented young people.
Well, we can't wait. It sounds really fantastic. And you said you actually are bringing a live band as well?
Absolutely. Yep. It's all live. The singing, the dancing, the music, the music background, everything it's going to be all live every night.
How big is the cast? Thinking about all of the people involved, acrobats and circus people, as well as you and the other characters, it seemed like it might be large.
Yep. Well, there's a lot of people doing double duty. There are people who are traditional Broadway performers who have had to learn some simple acro. There are people who have been acrobats their whole life who have had to learn some choreography and singing. So there's a lot of cross pollination of talents, if you will, that are involved in putting the show together and putting it on the road.
All right. Well, you'll be here this weekend for the Lubbock performances. Where else do you have to go on the tour?
Oh, this contract is until November of next year. So we will be all across the US, literally East Coast to West Coast. The beautiful thing for me is being a native of Cincinnati, we're playing 2 weeks in Cincinnati come late April, early May. So it'll be great to play for the home folks.
Great. Maybe see maybe some family and friends, things like that.
Absolutely.
Right. Well, thank you so much for being our guest on the front row today. Our guest is Robert Tully. He is Mr. Jankowski, the lead character in the musical Water for Elephants, which is taking place January 16th through the 18th at the Buddy Holly Hall here in Lubbock. Robert, thank you so much for being our guest on the front row today.
Hey, thank you so much, Clint. It's been a pleasure.